I mentioned that I'm an admission advisor. I handle that Iowa and Northwest Illinois, but in light of everything that's going on, we're kind of doing cross categories and everything. So I like to kind of get, so to speak, your ducks in order first, just so you guys who are maybe going to apply at many schools know what you need to have. So for you, for example, you've already looked at MSOE. You're getting informed about the school. Best way is to visit or do a virtual visit, a webinar. Some websites, school websites, are going to have something called UVisit. Ours is coming in September. I know another UW school that utilizes it. It's kind of like, okay, hold on. I've got someone in the waiting room. Hello, this is Chris. Is this Sarah? But I think this is her son, Alex, right? Do I have that correct? Maybe. I'm just getting started. So you're getting informed about each school that you visit, lots of different options. I was talking about UVisit. It's going to have a drone component to it. They're also going in some classrooms, so you get the feel of being on campus, even though you're not on campus. We're actually taking quite a few precautions. We're very conservative in everything that's going on with the pandemic, so we have limited amount of in-person. So the other thing is to talk to family and friends, your teachers, maybe mom and dad have an engineer, friend. Talk to them about different schools. Honestly, that is probably one of the best ways to learn about different schools and what they have to offer. So for example, Parker MSOE is a school that's in Milwaukee. You live in Milwaukee. Other people may talk about a school that's a little bit bigger, like Platteville's 8,000 students. MSOE is going to be less than that, so you got to think about those things. And then brainstorm, what have you done? Think about your past, events, athletics, all those type of things that you've done, so you have a list, and then get organized. So a lot of schools will admit, with unofficial transcripts, eventually you need your official transcripts. An activity resume is a great way. I hope you guys have started that. Sophomore, probably senior year, so it's really easy to input into that application and essay, and then also know your GPA. So what you'll need for any application, this is just a quick rundown before we get to the essay. You're going to need to know your socials. You're going to have that memorized. So for Sarah, but I think it's Alex who's joining us in the chat, is our virtual information card. We request that you fill that out so we can keep information up to date and we know who's attended the events. Also, ACT or SAT. Platteville is going optional, test optional through summer of 2022. It is something that we feel students maybe didn't get that opportunity to take those tests in spring and are going into this fall, so we're going to give that an option. You're going to have to know your official name of your high school. So for example, I have what I call West Dubuque. That's one of my schools. That's not officially what the name is. If you plug it into the application, it may come up incorrectly. So make sure you have the correct name and spelling of your school. The list of your courses you're currently going through, the names of any higher ed education classes. Maybe you've taken community college credit. You'll need to have that information. Obviously your extracurricular, your high school transcripts, college transcripts, and then a credit card because you'll have to pay for that application fee. Just to touch base, ACT, SAT, only if it's required by the schools that you're going to apply for or they're related to scholarships. Platteville took that component away. We are only going to look at your GPA, and only if you want to have your ACT or SAT score submitted. Then we'll do a matrix and then figure out what you're eligible for your merit scholarships. But it's not required always. Take those classes and do your best. You probably know more than you think. This is the application review, the academic side and the non-academic side. So an essay is really going to be only one part of that application. So you're going to have all those components ready when you're ready to fill out the application. These are our admission guidelines. Each school is going to be a little bit different, so pay attention to those. The one thing I'll make note of, nothing earth-shattering here. It's pretty much what you need to graduate. But for Platteville, in order to get admitted to Platteville, you honestly do not have to take a foreign language in high school. Yay, right? Some people are like, I did not like my Spanish class. However, in order to graduate, you would need to have a foreign language component in college. It's way harder in college than it is during high school. So hopefully you have 2 back-to-back years in high school. If you do, you've already met your graduation requirements at Platteville. Essay writing, starting 101. Before you even begin, please take note to use a professional sounding email. So in this example, it's like unicorn lover and soccer, 1800. This is your first presentation of yourself to admissions offices. So try to choose something that you're going to be utilizing quite often in your senior year and that you're going to be checking frequently. A lot of students email me using their high school email account. That's fine for, just kind of chatting and things. But as far as getting information and feedback and if my application got received, you're going to need a professional one. I'd recommend iCloud, Gmail, Yahoo. Choose something, pretty generic, but you're also going to be checking it frequently, okay? So for example, this is an example of an essay question. Tell us about your academic, personal, someone else. Okay, just checking here. Tell us about your academic and personal achievements. What have you learned from your successes and or challenges, and how will this influence you as you pursue your college education? So this is really one essay. However, there's different components to it. So I always tell students, take a look at what they're asking and kind of visualize in either their mind or on a piece of paper, like an outline, how they're going to proceed, okay? So for example, Platteville only has one essay. The essay I showed you just before in that prior slide was from last year. Each campus may have different essays. La Crosse requires 2. We require 1. They have different questions. So I'm just going to let you guys take a look at this. So for example, at La Crosse, your life experiences, commitments, and characteristics, that's 1. And why are you interested and what aspects are especially important to you? So these essays are from last year. They're probably going to change, but each school has the option to have 1 or 2. Madison's quite competitive as far as what their application entails and their essay. So when you're figuring out what you want to put in your essay, we really don't want you to be vague. So for example, I like working with people and I want to save the world. We really need to have specific information for those admission advisors or processors to review because you're gonna need to expound on what makes you fit, or a good fit, I should say, for the university that you're applying to, and really hone in on what attributes, personality, your characteristics, your work environment that you like to work in, your outside extracurricular activities. So for example, instead of addressing that general statement, you would be very specific. It answers that one question. I joined this club because I wanted to get to know different students with religion, traditions, and food. I found out what I liked and didn't like. And finally, I believe people really get to know one another. They have a better chance of getting along. So really talk about how awesome you are, but from the perspective of that transcripts are black and white. We can kind of infer the type of person you are or what your attributes are, but this is the time to shine and expound on the reasons why you joined the diversity club, what benefit it brought to you, what it will bring to your university experience, what kind of character building it did. So that's one aspect about vague versus being very specific. So this is an example of someone we actually quoted from lacrosse. What do we look for in an applicant statement? We really don't want to read a novel. Nothing more than a page is necessary. We'd like to know what inspires them, why they're focused on a particular area of study, why they're interested in attending UWL, and any other personal information that would take in consideration when reviewing their app. And they should be well written, grammatically correct, and organized, and proofed. And I'll get to that a little bit later. So we realize everyone is human. We're all real people. That's what we want to see on the paper. We don't want to see a glorified applicant. We want to see the real you. So remember that when you're putting together a statement. And then this is from UW-Platteville. Also explain why your academic record is the way it is. So your GPA may not match your test scores or vice versa. And this is your opportunity to explain why your transcript may look the way that it does. So that's a very important factor in having an essay that's well written and speaks to why you would be a good applicant to attend a university that you're looking into. We review, I do not personally, because that's not what my position is. My position is usually go to high schools, college fairs, but our processors review many applications. And so they really want to see something that sticks out, especially that first paragraph. That's where you can grab us and get our attention. So at this point, ask me some questions. I'm still going to go on and give you some more pointers and things. Anything you have burning right now that you want to ask some questions at all? No? Okay. So the truth is a rough year can happen. For example, maybe someone had a death in the family, let's say their sophomore year, or they got injured, or there was a loss of a job in a family, and that affected you as far as your academic performance that year. Please explain what happened, how you grew as a person, what challenges you met, how you made adaptations to overcome this obstacle. Stuff happens. I mean, look at this year. You know, we have to be flexible. We're trying to get to know you as a person, and that's going to show through better than not showing who you really are. So here's one that is a perfect example of excuses versus growing opportunities. So my grades are bad junior year because of a major concussion I had during football season of my sophomore year. I couldn't study or focus. I struggled, and it was a hard experience for me to go through. So a better example would be my major concussion in the fall of sophomore year was a humbling experience. It's not an excuse. They're owning up to this experience. They said it was humbling. They explained I have difficulty focusing and retaining information, requiring me to adapt my study skills. So here we saw how they were able to take something that was negative and turn it into a positive. And it took, honestly, to their junior year to master. So they're trying to make the honor roll just as they did before concussion. So in this example, this would be something like we get the transcripts and we're trying to figure out, you know, what was going on. There was a dip. They addressed this, they were focused, and they were to the point, and then they moved on. So if that makes sense, go on to the next one. The other thing we see a lot of is cliches and overused phrases. If you look at this and you read it, it seems kind of wordy, seems kind of overused. A better choice would have been something in the genre of, a big influence in my life as a role model is Sean Brown. That's an example. My brother, he helped me develop into a better man by, and then give your examples and elaborate. So all of that information above is way too much. We're also talking about limiting your essay to about a page. And when you guys start writing, it goes pretty fast. You can fill up a page once you get the ball rolling. So also avoid the use of flowery language or flamboyant language. When you read this, the game was spectacularly wonderful. I didn't score the defining goal, but I did manage dexterously to pass the ball to my amazingly talented teammate, who adroitly kicked it between the goalie's desperately reaching fingers. It's long, but also it's not, we read it and we realize this person would never say this. So hashtag, what does that even mean, adroitly? I know what it means, but a processor reading this would be like, this isn't how a student would normally be talking in everyday language. Just use normal words that really fit your vocabulary and who you are. So tips for writing the essay. Honesty is the best policy. Be honest. Don't make it flamboyant. Make it to the point. Don't write what you think the admission officers want to hear. You are writing this essay to one of your schools that you're hoping you will get an admission to. We, at most universities, want a holistic review of that application. That essay is the one thing that you can really make exceptional. So on paper, as I mentioned before, we can see what you did for your activities. We can see what you did for volunteering, what your grades were, your SAT or ACT. But here's your chance to really show us what you've got. The one thing that a lot of students don't do is follow the instructions carefully. So before you even begin, read everything once. Okay, I think I got it. Then go back again and really process what they are asking. A lot of times, students will get hung up thinking they know what that question was, but in reality, it really wasn't. When you're answering those questions, try not to go on a tangent. And we have some fail-safes in place that we would suggest so you don't have that happen. Always, instead of typing in the application, and I'm pretty sure most students would do this, you would type it into a Word document. Once you have that done in a Word document, save it. And then take it to someone, maybe a family member, mom, dad, aunt, uncle. Have them give their input. Don't use them as a crutch though. Ask them for their opinion and some things that could change, but it's your essay. You should be the one making the changes. Then after you get that back, I would choose someone that you really have as a mentor. So maybe a high school coach, maybe a guidance counselor or a teacher. Ask them to quickly review it. If it's only a page, it's going to take them 5 minutes. And tell them that you value their input in what this essay is going to be saying and any hints that they could give you. Then at that point, after you review it and proof it, then you can apply it into the application. But, and I've seen this a few times, if you're kind of using the same essay, because there's some similarities, make sure you change the name of the school and the top of that essay that you're sending in. We've had students, believe it or not, apply to UW-Platteville, but it says University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. So that kind of doesn't set the tone real well with the admissions office. So just make sure you have everything correct before you send it. Check and double check. So, whoops, excuse me. The good news is it's really hard to write a bad essay or one that weakens your application. You really have to blow it. Spelling's not good. Grammar is not correct. Use spell check. It's not got an opening paragraph that's very strong, content in the middle, and a closing paragraph. We realize sometimes not everybody's on the same page as far as writing an essay. But with that said, open strong with that first paragraph. See why we're intrigued about you and oh, this student seems very interesting. I wonder what they're going to tell me. That's what we want to hear. Show us you also have a command of that basic writing skills. It's a key component in college. You're going to be writing papers and working in groups and doing presentations. It's a basic skill that you're going to need. And then answer those questions directly and don't drag it out. Try not to be too wordy. That's why you have those fail safes I mentioned to help you out there. Make your point and stick to it. And then again, like I mentioned, be authentic. More than anything, we want to know who you are. Proofread and then proofread and do it again. There's nothing worse than having something come in that's grammatically incorrect, or, you know, maybe there's one error, maybe two. But when it's a consistent theme in your essay, that's not going to look or bode well for you on that processing team. Then keep track of the length of time. The length of your essay. How, as you're writing, it may start to get wordy and you're at a page and a half. Stop, take a break, come back. Fresh eyes always seem to pick up things that are better and you become back more focused. And then the application evaluators, those processors really like to have easy reading that's not difficult. Make sure the font looks good, those kinds of things as well, large enough. Make a list of your schools. This is a tip for getting started. Narrow down those schools that you want to apply and get that essay in. Sometimes students, and you may have had this experience, it's just so hard to get started. Talk it out with someone. Let mom or dad know, this is the essay, this is what I'm thinking, and it comes together. Or some students work better by just writing it down and starting, you know, somewhere, and then going back and then start filling in. Other students are very methodical and they will make an outline like Roman numeral 1, A, B, C, this is all what I want to input. It just depends on your style. And that will show through also when you write your essay as well. There's no right or wrong. You just got to get started. I mentioned walking away and coming back. That sometimes, even for me, when I'm working and I just want to get one more email out or I just got to get this done, really try to take a break. It can lead to strain and frustration. When you come back in a half an hour or something, you're ready to go. Your thoughts are clearer and you can get done. And then, as I said, you also want to review what you've written and the application that you're going to be sending in. So, as I mentioned before, show us who you are, your writing ability, it's the time to shine. Have a list of those characteristics that really represent you, whether you're outgoing, if you're very logical, if you are very perceptive, intuitive, those type of things. It's just your time to really get who you are down on paper and put your best foot forward as you can.